Hi, I'm Tim Moore. This is Golf Out of Control, and you're about to get ridiculously better at golf. Before we get started on today's lesson, I want to remind you of the three components that make up Golf Out of Control. One, obvious, swing mechanics. So we're going to discuss a physical part of the golf game today. Two, there's a mental side to golf. Almost everybody agrees with that fact. They don't do anything about it, but we are. During this golf lesson, we're going to discuss what I call matching. We've got to get your thoughts to match with what you're asking your body to do. And thirdly, and in my opinion, most importantly, there's the spiritual component of golf. You combine all three of these and oh my gosh, is your golf game going to get better? And today's lesson I'm really excited to give to you because it so clearly demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, on that third piece, the spiritual side, today the dominant concept comes from the Bible, and it's in 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. I really thought this would be appropriate in the times that we are now going through. This COVID thing has everybody so fearful. I hope today gives you some encouragement and maybe some enlightenment and maybe a different way of looking at not just golf, but some other things that may be going on in your life as well. So hang on, because here we go. Okay. Man, every time I personally work on the concept that I'm going to share with you today, it just excites me and just hit the ball so much better and so much more consistently. So, this magic formula I'm about to give you to make you overwhelmingly better at golf, what is it? Drum roll, please. Grip pressure. Yeah, I know, it's not that exciting stuff like using ground forces for your pivot points and the Golf Channel speak. I've been doing this for 32 years, and once you get your grip pressure correct, and most importantly consistent, you're going to be amazed at how much more consistent, how much more length, how much more accuracy. Proper grip pressure affects everything in your golf swing. It affects your timing, tempo, rhythm, balance in the golf swing. It affects the swing plane. It affects the squaring of the face of the club, and certainly the results that you get. They all get amazingly better if you just hold the club correctly. So, let me introduce you to the training aid that we'll be using today. It's pretty high tech, don't get nervous. That's right, it's a feather. Don't feel bad. Better people than you have called me weird, even today. Pay attention to this lesson and you're about to get silly better. What is that? Pete-centered swing. Ooh, that is so good. Pete's okay, Pete's okay. What in the world am I talking about? Well, let's define proper grip pressure. You know, most of the time when you're watching in the Golf Channel or a famous teacher or something, I've heard it a lot referred to on a scale. Scale of 1 being extremely loose to 10 being that death grip thing. And most agree it's somewhere 5 or 6 for a normal full swing shot. I think that's a good analogy, but I don't find it to be very effective. In other words, if just knowing the right grip pressure would cause me to do it, then I wouldn't even have to practice. As a matter of fact, I'd be out of a job and have to be doing something else. It's kind of like, you know, I go to church a lot, and so you hear some preacher that will tell you that you're not supposed to lust, you're not supposed to covet, you're not supposed to be selfish in any way. Me just knowing that I'm not supposed to lust does not cause me to not do it all the time. You know what I mean? There's other stuff in the book that really helps us to accomplish the goal of not getting those things done, and that is one of the primary points that you and I are going to discuss today when it comes to grip pressure. 99.9% of people that I've taught in my lifetime hold the club way too hard. I rarely, if ever, I don't ever remember walking up to somebody and go, you know, your problem is you're far too relaxed over the shot. So, like, everybody's holding it too hard. If you're listening to this, I bet you could benefit from loosening up on the grip just a little bit. Most people function around, if it was that scale, 9 or 10 when it gets to a golf shot, particularly on the first tee box with all your friends watching and you've got a $5 bet on the line. scale of 1 to 10, I'm at 11 all of a sudden with a lot of folks. So what I want to identify is what is the root cause of all this really tight grip pressure. It's one you're not going to like to admit. It's called fear. Fear has so many different faces, and I know, especially if you're a man, you're I ain't scared of nothing. Yeah, you are. Fear has a whole lot of different faces. I'm standing over the shot, and everybody's looking, and there's a pond in front of me. I'm already 2 down. Fear. You're very likely. Remember when you were a teenager, when you were learning to drive? You hop up on the freeway for the first time. How was your grip pressure on that steering wheel? My, scared you're gonna die, right? Now, let's reverse that and put it to golf. I'm standing over my golf shot. Am I trusting the result that's about to happen, or am I a little apprehensive? Maybe a little bit of doubt. Maybe a little bit of fear has creeped in that it may not happen. Tension. How do you deal with fear? I mentioned it right at the get-go. Perfect love drives out fear. Well, what in the world are you talking about? Well, I'm talking to you about Pete. I don't know what I did with I lost my feather, but what I mean by this, the oldest cliche statement in golf when it comes to grip pressure, or a story or analogy, is to act as if you're holding a live bird in your hand. I love the analogy. I didn't invent it. I think some shepherds in a field thousands of years ago when they first invented golf must have been talking about holding birds in their hand. But think about what the beautiful analogy. If you're holding a live bird in your hand, a bird you care about, by the way, then is the way that you're holding it when you play golf, would he still be alive? Be honest. Yeah, of course not. The bird's dead. You want to hold the bird in your hand in a way that he cannot fly away, because this isn't any bird. I'm going to identify exactly who this is. His name is Pete the parakeet, and I actually own a blue parakeet named Pete, and I brought him to our golf lesson today, and I'm going to hand him to you. Please don't hurt my bird. I love this bird. My whole family loves this bird. I'm going to go into counseling if you hurt this bird. I don't care about you hitting a shot well. Just please don't hurt my bird. But Pete can also fly, so if you hold it too loose, he can wriggle out of your hands and fly away, because for a parakeet, he is freakishly strong. I know it's a silly story, but imagine this. If that were true, if I could really hand you a bird, put it in your hands, would you ever hold it as hard as you've been holding your golf club? What did I just say? I said, if you loved the bird more than yourself hitting a good golf shot, you would always hold it with a pressure that would neither let him fly away, nor would you injure that poor little bird. You know who else holds a club like that very, very consistently? Every single player that you watch play golf on television. We, since we haven't started with that much talent, typically, are going to have to be a little bit creative. So, I'm going to have to really go as far as I possibly can in imagining that I'm holding that sweet little bird, Pete, in my hand while I'm hitting golf balls. As long as Pete's okay, everything else is going to just take care of itself. Good or bad, I just don't want to hurt the bird. There's 3 different things that you're going to do. Let me back up just a second. I want to take you to a place that I call the literal place, when things are literal. In other words, if I literally handed you a bird, we're standing on the lesson tee during the lesson, I took Pete out of his cage and I brought him and I handed him to you, and I said, I'm very dedicated to my job, and so you get to swing him around yourself, but please don't hurt him. Besides calling the SPCA on me, what would happen? I think you'd pay a great amount of attention to your grip and making sure that you didn't kill my bird, and nor did you let him fly away. Again, you cared so much about the bird. If that were a reality instead of something you were just pretending can be a dangerous thing. However, I want to take you and something I do, and it's definitely going to get a little bit odd here from this point forward, but try it. Try this drill. It's insane. The point of the drill is to get you away from worrying about yourself and what you get. In other words, trying to hit a good shot being your top priority, and get Pete to be your top priority. If we were really in your hands, unless you're pure evil. Now, if you would purposely squish a bird just to hit a golf ball, stop playing golf and go see a psychiatrist. Like that. You got bigger fish to fry than sitting and watching me on YouTube kind of thing. I've never met anybody quite that evil, but let's just say. So, the power of reality, it was really in your hand versus pretending. But step one, use your imagination. I always say, kids don't have any problems imagining, but as we grow into adults, we learn how to work at playing a game. Kids don't work at playing a game. So, if I tell them to pretend there's a bird in their hand, it works much easier than it does with us intelligent. I digress. So, first of all, imagine there's a bird in your hand. So just go as far as you can in your imagination of pretending that there's a bird in your hand. Second, to help my pretender, the feather. The feather's awesome. I just stick it in between, on top of the grip so that I can feel it. Now all of a sudden I'm using my sense of feel as well as my imagination so that I feel like there actually is a bird in my hand. And that really, really helps me to think about Pete instead of the shot. And third, most importantly, man, do I use this a lot, not just with this concept, but so many others. But I talk to the bird before, during, and after every golf swing. You may think it's weird. It looks something like this. I'm trying to pretend there's a bird in my hand. I can feel this feather in my fingers to remind me what the swing's about. And then I'm literally telling Pete, don't worry. Pete, don't worry. Pete, don't worry. Pete, are you okay? Yeah, Pete's okay. Everything's good. Okay. Not literally out loud. That was for your benefit. But in my head, I'm literally talking to this bird the entire time that I'm swinging. Why? Because I'm a sinful human being, and I will immediately start thinking about what I may or may not get. That's what I do. The conundrum is that even though that seems right, that's what causes fear in the first place. I'm fearful that I may not be able to hit the shot I'm going to hit, and then you're going to judge me, and then my ego gets bruised, and I lose $5. See what I'm saying? If I distract me away from the most destructive thing on the planet, self-centered thinking, I'll talk to a bird, because then my grip pressure will be constant, consistent, and that will give me results unlike I can ever generate by myself by telling me, hey, just don't hold it too hard. Hey, just don't hold it too hard. That I've never seen that consistently work. It certainly has never worked for me. Pete, on the other hand, magic. As I'm swinging, I can feel that feather, and I'm telling Pete, don't worry. I got you, Pete. Pete, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. It's funny. I teach this concept a lot. You need to hit a lot of golf balls doing it, by the way. It is so fantastic how much better you're about to hit a golf ball. It's funny, especially, okay, I'm going to admit it, because I am one, so I can say this, but churchy people. You get churchy people out here sometimes, and I start throwing the scriptures in with it, and I sometimes get a hallelujah, even one of those hand-raising things. Seriously, oh man, Tim, that is deep. That is really, really good. I just love the analogy. So you get it. Definitely, man. And they're going to do their best. They say, oh yeah, and I'm going to hit some balls. You know what's funny? They step to the ball with a feather in their hand, and I have them say it out loud for the first couple of times. In real practice, I only say it in my head, so you don't know I'm crazy enough to be talking to myself, but I am. But a person will hit the ball, and if they're talking to Pete and the shot goes, everything's good, they go, wow, man, that Pete thing is awesome. And then the second they go, oh man, I kind of topped that one. In other words, if you think that you're like one of these uber holy people, I dare you to go do the Pete drill. Here's what I want you to pay attention to. What exactly did you pay the most attention to? Your first response, because we're all made with the same DNA, and that sin, selfish nature. Your first response is about the result. If you hit it good, it's the first thing you say. Wow, I hit it so good. If you hit it bad, the first thing you say is, oh man, kind of shit. Well, what about Pete? Like, you're trying to change your thinking to have others-centered thinking. One of the last, but not the last, I got one more to share with you. But out of the book of James 4:3, it's a pure example. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. James 4:3. You ask with wrong motives. In other words, you just don't want to hurt Pete so you'll get what you want? Not going to work. You're in exactly the same place. You're one of those reasons people shy away from churches, because you're a hypocrite. You say one thing, but you're doing another thing. It's not on purpose. It's the very nature that we're all born with. I love how this reveals in Tim so many hidden things. I don't know I'm that selfish until it's revealed to me. But wow, am I? First thing I tend to respond to. The last part of the drill, I think it's insanely important, is, yep, I got the feather in my hand. Yep, I'm talking to Pete. Pete, it's going to be okay. Pete, it's going to be okay. Pete, it's going to be okay. Pete, are you okay? I literally have to say out loud, Pete, are you okay? The second that I strike the ball, because that grip pressure needs to be constant throughout the entire golf swing. If I don't check in with him, my first response is immediately the shot I just hit. Please go do this drill. It will make your golf swing so much better. Yes, you will probably experience much better results. Don't make them your priority. Make Pete your priority. I really love that golf lesson. And just to recap real quickly, you have to do the drill. I have so many people that go, wow, that's a great concept, but they never go do the drill. It's kind of like going to church and not doing a single thing the pastor said and going, church, it doesn't really work. The drill includes 3 steps. 1, you're going to use your imagination to pretend that there's a bird in your hand rather than a grip. 2, you're going to actually use a feather to stick on the grip so you can touch it while you're swinging to remind you it's not about you getting your result that's the priority. Pete, my little parakeet, is the priority. 3rd, talk to him. Let me give you a little experiment to prove the power of words. Don't think about a cheeseburger. Don't you dare think about a juicy cheeseburger. Okay, because I'm psychic, I know that you just thought about a cheeseburger. Power of words. If you talk to Pete, you see Pete, you imagine Pete. If you imagine Pete, you may respond to Pete rather than your result. You caring about the result is what causes you to tense up in the first place. Fear. The last thing I want to share with you is a life application, perhaps, in today's world. We're so scared, and what exactly are we scared of? And it's not unwarranted fear. It's a fearful time. But we're scared about the results that we may or may not get. The world is just in one of those places where it's one giant question mark. What's going to happen? Nobody knows except that one, and his name is God. When we're results oriented, it causes tension and it causes fear. What the Pete lesson teaches us is that when we're others centered, then we have a chance at the answer. Who are the Petes in your life? You don't have to be grandiose. You don't have to find the cure. You don't have to fill all the food pantries all over the nation. Who are the Petes that God put specifically in your life? Is it your spouse, your children, your co-workers, friends, family, brother, sister, nieces, nephews? Who is it specifically that God placed in your hands? Are you squeezing them because you're so scared about the results? Or are you taking them as your first priority rather than your results? There's your answer. Have an others-centered attitude, and fear will go away. Perfect love drives out fear. Lastly, I hate to tell this to you, but neither me nor you have the ability for perfect love. We can, however, receive it. The last thing I'll share with you is a scripture out of Psalms. It's Psalms 91:4. And it goes, falls right in line with our Pete lesson. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness. He will cover you under his wings. Are you still trying to figure out your own results? Or have you learned about getting underneath his wings? It's much safer. It's much safer. I hope you've got some from this lesson. I know your golf game will get better if you'll just do the drill. I also know life gets so much easier when it's not under my control, but when I'm out of control and under His. God bless. Stay safe.